Hello and welcome to the Albion Obsessed podcast. You join us on the back of our first ever point away at Manchester City. Let's see who is joining us on the show today. We welcome back Mr. Tom Phillips. How you doing, my friend?
Very good, thank you. Yourself?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. It's been a busy weekend. Had the new carpets in, so as you can imagine, upheaval everywhere. But it's all good now. And we also welcome back to the show. Thank you for joining us, Matthew. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Yourself?
Yeah, all good, mate. As I say, busy one, but yeah, good to have a point to be happy with, I guess, or not happy with.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say,
but we will get into that as we go on. I guess let's just start with the starting 11. So we did start with Bart Verbruggen in goal, Jack Hinshelwood, Van Hecke, Webster, Estupiñán, Baliba and Gomez as the midfield pairing, and the front four were Yankuba Minter, Jorginho Rutter, Karim Matoma, and João Pedro. Tom, was you happy with the starting lineup? I was pretty happy to see the midfield pairing. What was your take on it when it came out?
I thought it was spot on, basically. Everything all considered, it's probably our strongest 11 going into this, bar probably Lamptey or maybe even Veltman. I think that was probably our best 11 going out against a City side that, they've been very much below par, but they're still a very, very good side, and they were dangerous at times against us.
Yeah, exactly that. Matthew, what have you made of Diego Gomez's sort of announcement into the British football scene? He's been pretty incredible and probably up there with the best pairing to be alongside Carlos Baliba right now. What have you made of him?
He's just absolute nuts, and he does everything. He's everywhere. Ball winner, ball carrier, ball progressor. Unbelievable player. How much did we pay for him?
I think it was like what, 8
10
million?
Something like that, around there.
Something like that.
Could be 40, and I wouldn't bat an eyelid.
Yeah, exactly that. And as well, obviously, Danny Welbeck has had a lot of time on the bench at the moment, Tom. But do you think Jorginho Rutter and João Pedro are the best starters going forward, and then having Welbeck come off the bench as and when you need him?
It depends what the way Hertzler wants to play the game. I think if he wants to have a good management up top, then Welbeck's that guy. He can control the game very well. We could play several different styles just based on his experience. But if you want to go in and take that risk, then you want João Pedro, who is Mr. Big Game himself, and Rutter, who's just the man can do anything and everything. To be honest with you, he's bloody magic, and I just love watching him every time he gets the ball. When he presses defenders, he always seems to win the ball. He's like that cheat code you have in FIFA. He just seems to just run at players, and you get the ball on his feet. And he's wonderful to watch. And they're linking up really well, and that was something that I thought would be tricky when I first saw Rutter play at the start of the season, but they're both linking up so well. I think when we had that game against City, it was our best opportunity really to get points on the board against them and get considering the season that they're having at the moment. And Hertzler really pushed hard at the Etihad, which is very ambitious considering what the way we have played against them in past seasons.
Yeah, exactly that. Also, don't forget, viewers and listeners, we are live tonight. So if you want to get your questions in, get your opinions in, then do leave them in the comments. We've got Mac Perry in the comments at the moment. His first comment was "Burn, baby, burn." I mean, yeah, it was great to see Big Dan Burn score for Newcastle, although slightly hinders our European chances a little bit. But I think Newcastle will probably have enough in them to finish in the top 7 or 8 anyway. So probably don't have to worry about that. Matthew, I was talking to Tom just before we went live, and I was just thinking, we beat Newcastle twice this season. Could we? They've just won a major trophy. I know, Tom, you said don't tempt it, but we have to talk about it. What are you feeling after seeing Newcastle win their trophy, Matthew?
Well, first of all, I'm quite happy to see them win. I do have a bit of a soft spot for Newcastle, and Dan Burn, of course, as well. But let's dream. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. Nice and simple. Let's dream. Tom, can you give yourself a little bit of dreaming?
We can dream all we like, but ask me after the Forest game. that one's given me serious heart palpitations, lads. No matter how well we've responded against them in that game, but they're strong. They are strong, and I hope Hertz has got a mastermind of a plan because we need it. And I think the game's good. The game will be won in the midfield. We've got to keep Morgan Gibbs White quiet, but he is unbelievable. How on earth? Am I right in thinking he hasn't got an England call up, has he?
He has now, as of like half an hour ago, I think. Right. He's been called up. Yeah,
he's been called up, but okay, perfect. But my point still stands. He wasn't initially in Tuchel's plans, and I thought he really needs to be because he's a brilliant all-round midfielder, and that's the kind of midfielder that Tuchel usually likes and plays. So I was pretty surprised, but now he's got that call up, completely justified. So you can see how much of a maestro he was in that Ipswich game and how ruthless they were at Portman Road. That attitude is going to come in the FA Cup in leaps and bounds, and I know that Nuno also is fancying his chances of lifting the cup, and so are the Forest fans, and they're going to come in loud and proud next weekend. So we just really got to push forward on that match. I think it'll be a classic that weekend, but I'm keeping my feet firmly on the ground. I'll start dreaming. Dare I say, if we win, I'm dreaming. If not, then I'm just feet firmly on the ground. I love a trip to Wembley again, but feet are firmly on the ground.
That's fair enough. I mean, this season, Matt, has been pretty nuts in terms of how open it's been, and I think Bournemouth could probably beat Man City as well. They've been really, really good this season. So if Man City go out, it's just like it's going to be like a winner that hasn't won it in ages or a new winner. And I love that about this season. Obviously, Liverpool running away with the league, which is what it is. But Tom, you think they could maybe F it up a little bit? But yeah, just to see these cups being so open. Matt, what have you made of this season as a whole? Really, it's been pretty crazy.
It's been a roller coaster. I think at the start of the season and going into November, sort of December time, we were largely playing up to sort of the squad rather than Hertz's own ideas. And basically after the Forest game, I think he's been implementing his own sort of style. You've seen things like Matoma drifting into midfield and just little things here and there. But on the whole, good. I mean, it's a 30, no, he's 32 now, isn't he? Year-old manager, first season in the Prem, done well. What are we now? 6th, 7th?
7th still, yeah. I mean, who would have ever put on Twitter Hertzler out? Couldn't have been me. I don't know what you're talking about.
I think after that Forest game, I've always been Hertzler in, and I'll always be Hertzler in as long as he's at the football club, I'm going to back him. But after that Forest game, it was like, yeah, you know what? I understand the Hertzler outers.
Yeah.
I slightly disagree on that. I think he tried to be a bit rogue, a bit ambitious, like he has done. He played a very similar style for St. Pauli in Bundesliga. But I think Nuno was just like years ahead and just read the game so well. He shifted it after 5 minutes and we just got humbled big time. The fact that Hertz has responded in the way that he has, in the fact that he got the whole team, got the tactical documents and just chucked it in the fire at the training center, you just know that guy means business and he'll hold himself to account as well. And I think that is probably the biggest asset he has. But like I know a lot of people play about his age, but he has pointed out quite rightly when he was getting interviewed by Barber and Bloom when they asked this question. He said, "I'm 32, but I've got the same amount of coaching experience as someone who's 42." So, there are, age is just a number in those kind of things. But this man is young. He gets the modern day game, and he's coming in with ideas that are suiting our game so well. And I think, look, that Forest game was just horrific to witness, but it's been one that we really he probably needed. It was that humbling experience to just realize, okay, this is the Premier League. We can't miss about here, and we need to push on from that.
Yeah, exactly. Mac Perry in the comments pointing out that people were comparing him to Sami Hyypiä, and I mean, look at the tools Sami Hyypiä had to deal with. We've replaced Leonardo Ujawa with Chris O'Grady for one. So I mean, that was just ridiculous. That was a horrible season, but it pushed us on to get Chris Hughton, and things happen for a reason. I'm a firm believer in that.
Remember the David Burke years then? God.
Yeah. The recruitment was on the floor.
Oh,
Talk
God.
about polar opposites.
Oh, God. How the tables have turned.
Exactly. And we're now talking about a 2-2 draw with Man City and being disappointed with it, which is pretty nuts. Let's talk about the game then. It didn't take us long to have the ball in the back of the net, Matthew, but it was ruled out. What was your take on the Mitoma incident?
I was there. So at first I was thinking, it's probably going to get disallowed. They bring it up for handball on VAR, and I'm thinking, it's just that something's not right here. And it's I don't know. It's if anything, it's a foul, but is it though? I think it's. I don't know. I'm very torn on it.
I had to watch it multiple times, and I had to watch it on slow-mo. So when you have to look at it that deeply, you think, okay, is it clear and obvious enough for VAR to get involved in the first place? Tom, what was your view on it? Because I watched it over and over and over, and like Matthew, I haven't got a conclusive answer, to be honest.
Yeah, I just want to shout out to Matt Perry for the Darren Bank call, and I'll raise you Leon Best. To me, there was the foul, there was the handball. The foul was the foul. The keeper had two hands on the ball, so he's in full control, as per the laws of the game. And Mitoma's just gone in there. The momentum's just carried him on. He had to go in there, otherwise he'll injure himself, I think. So he took his chance and tried to play it out like as if he meant it. But even if Ortega didn't have control of the ball and he passed it on, there was an accidental head ball which directly led to a goal. So again, it would have been disallowed. So it was pretty textbook stuff for the referee. Nothing really contentious, as much as we would love to say, we see them given, we really don't. So I wasn't overly that concerned, but I was very, very encouraged with what we were doing early doors.
Yeah, exactly. Out the traps nice and quickly, and continuing this intensity that we're seeing from Fabian Hertzler ever since the 7-0 against Nottingham Forest, and 6 wins on the bounce, and then follow up with a point at the Etihad. It was incredible, but we had to fight our way back a couple of times, Matthew. The Adam Webster penalty incident, me watching it back, I feel like he's sliding to block a Mamouche shot, but then sort of slightly catches him as he sort of checks inside. Obviously, Webster's been absolutely brilliant of late. And when I wasn't watching it live at the time because I was at a baby shower, but as I watched it back, Ali Al Habsi. Oh gosh, that's a good shout, to be fair. As I watched it back, I was expecting to see a clumsy Adam Webster, but I just think he was unlucky. What do you think?
Let's not beat around the block. It's a penalty. I think everyone agrees on that.
Yeah.
I think it is more on the clumsy side because, it was at Marmouche, right? It's on he's going to shoot. So I guess you'd expect him to have a go. But for me, it's clumsy. I don't think you can dive in like that and get away, because either you end up committing the foul like he did or you get absolutely embarrassed. So
yeah, it's fair enough. But I just think that he's sliding to block the shot because I think Mamouche like checks back inside, doesn't he? Rather than takes a shot, it's like a fake shot.
Yeah.
So sort of sends him the other way, and Adam Webster's trailing leg for me just catches him.
Yeah.
I think it's just unlucky that the action wasn't a shot because it would have been a great block otherwise.
Yeah, he also. I didn't really think he had a great game either, to be honest. It's been the first sort of bad game he's had since returning. Oh, not bad. It was okay, but I thought he had a couple of mistakes in him yesterday.
Yeah, and I think maybe you would expect that against the attack that City have, that they could put him under pressure and give him a few issues. And I don't know about you, Tom, but I just feel like we're never going to see a penalty save ever again. It's no disrespect to Bart Verbruggen. It's just like, will we ever see a Brighton goalkeeper save a penalty ever again?
I mean, long gone are the days of David Stockdale. By the way, Mac, I'm going to raise you from Ali Al Habsi. I'm going to go for Toko Nzuzi, if you remember him.
Yeah. God. Good Lord.
I'm so keen for this, for all the terrible transfers. That Haaland's one of the best finishers on the planet right now, and Verbruggen is one of the young upcoming risers, but he's superb. And but we conceded from the penalty, conceded from the spot. That's fine. I'm not overly concerned with that. I think, granted, the moment was anyway called for offside anyway, but that moment, I think it was Marmouche tried to take it round Verbruggen, and he just made himself low and big and just stretched himself out and just denied the block. It was superb goalkeeping. So look, if Verbruggen can't save penalties, but he could do things like that, and that last fingertip save at Bournemouth as well, those moments, they matter, and they're going to be the difference. Penalties, I'm okay with a hit and miss situation. It's a lottery and those kind of things anyway. But we could reminisce on David Stockdale's fantastic double save against Forestieri, Sheffield Wednesday in that Championship promotion season. But we're not. It's such a lottery. Matty Ryan against Stoke City is one comes to mind, and Lewis Dunk committing another foul, which should have been another penalty. Thank God VAR wasn't about in that season. But we'll take what we get, and really, I'll definitely take the draw at City.
Yeah, that's completely fair enough. It didn't take us long to draw level, and it was a direct free kick. Would you believe? A direct free kick. And I remember being sat at the baby shower I was at and seeing that it was a direct free kick. Everybody in the house was a Brighton fan. So we were going, how did we score a free kick? We haven't scored one of those for ages. And then Tom on the group chat put, we've just scored a free kick. So yeah, an incredible moment. How did it look from the stands, Matthew? Was you expecting Estupiñán to step up and put it in the corner?
Well, I've got some quite controversial views about Estupiñán. I think he's a bit of a donut at times, to be honest. So, least of all, I, of all people, was expecting him to do that and pull that out of the bag, let alone from a free kick. But overall, Estupiñán had a good game. I want our players to be good. I've got no agendas or anything. But yeah, I'm sure we'll get onto Estupiñán in a bit. But yeah.
We sure will. I mean, go on and give us your views on Estupiñán's game then, as a harsh critic. What is it about Pervis that you're not overly happy with?
I just think there's some moments where there's just not a thought going through his head. Like, was it Bournemouth? What was the last game at home? I literally went to it. I can't think.
Fulham,
that's it. It might have been the Bournemouth game actually, but there was so many times where he saw Mitoma or someone on the left in an obvious offside position and he still passes. To me, and he's a bit awkward on the ball as well, but he had a very good game.
After all that, he had a good game.
Yeah.
I mean, I think with Pervis, like I agree with you somewhat that sometimes he's a bit rash and makes very clumsy decisions. Defensively or tactically, not quite there as to what you'd expect from a left back in terms of defending against really technical quick wingers. But the thing that I think is that Kadioglu, when he comes in next season, is going to be the natural replacement for Pervis. I think he might move on, maybe. I did feel like he might have done had Kadioglu stayed fit and made a really good stake to be a starter for this team, but obviously injuries hindered that. I mean, Tom, what's your views on Pervis? Obviously, great for him to get on the score sheet and a great free kick. I think the last free kick we scored was against Forest at home, maybe.
Yeah, that's about right. And it's also the first one that Man City conceded at the Etihad since Wayne Rooney was at Manchester United. So, you know, there was who was it that was on BBC Sussex? I think it was Warren Aspinall said that Ortega was doing the hokey cokey in that moment. So I thought that was quite amusing from his superb analysis as always. I love it. I think Estupiñán even was. I thought it was quality in that game, and it was very much match of the day. Really analysed it really well in the fact that they were very narrow. Our fullbacks, so they tried to exploit the space in the middle, so they could bring the wingers inside, and then you got the likes of Jack Hinshelwood just exploiting the acres of space they had on the wings was absolutely criminal. I mean, you wouldn't have that when Gvardiol was at his best and had Leroy Sané in front of him or Jack Grealish. God knows why City are just not treating him as a first teamer at the moment. There was just so many areas that you can exploit in a Man City side, which is absolutely unheard of for a Pep Guardiola team at the moment. It's really surreal, and they've now conceded more goals than they ever had in the Premier League under Guardiola, including in that first season when they weren't actually that great either, and they were still gelling a lot. So I was really impressed with what the tactical awareness and exploitation that Pervis did. It was very much a team player kind of performance. Individually, yeah, there were some rusty moments. I kind of agree with what Matt was saying about keep on passing to Matoma in offside. I'll also go flip the other side of the coin. In fact, that Matoma should really need to see that line. He's hugging that touchline so much, and all he sees is that defensive line. He has the pace to exploit anyway, so he can definitely give himself an extra yard or two in space. But Pervis is just doing what he's been told by the manager, and he's doing it well. It's just some people let him down otherwise. But yeah, he has had some faulty moments. Maybe carrying an injury again as per usual or something along those lines. But I thought he was superb against City and did really, really well.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see who else we've got in the chat today. We've got Aidan Pocock saying, much love to you all behind the scenes. Amazing channel, amazing content, amazing club. Oh, well, thank you very much for that. Very much appreciate it. We've got Joanna saying, evening, everyone. And we also have Luke Links in the chat. So hello to you, sir. Yeah, I mean, let's get on to the second City goal and get all the crap bits out of the way, because we didn't quite clear our lines, Matt, and we were very much punished by a very good finish by Mamouche, who's been pretty decent for City, maybe one of their shining lights. What did you make of their second goal?
I want to point fingers and say Ross is at fault, because I think he's messing around with it a little bit, and he does that little turn or something. Maybe I'm being too harsh again, but again, against City, you make these mistakes, you're going to get punished. I feel like that's a bit of a trend at the moment. You look back at some of the goals we've conceded, and it is like recently in the last 6-7 games, and there have been a couple of silly goals that are avoidable or just low XG chances, like Clivert as well. It took that to beat our defence. I think that just goes to show how well we're defending at the moment. But it's just these silly mistakes and stuff we got to cut out.
Yeah, exactly that, and always stuff to work on. And overplaying it sometimes it is frustrating, but then you have to think that when it goes well, we're applauding it, and then the one mistake against, as you say, Man City, you're punished straight away. Tom, it was a pretty good finish. What did you make of the goal?
It was a great finish, and the gameplay all round was superb. It was almost like as if we were City in that phase of play that we're used to seeing in the few years, and really we were and City were the team that we have been in previous years at the Etihad, just caught on the momentum and just didn't have any momentum or any clue what to do. So we really took our chance there really well, and I think that's character building, especially with someone so young and like Jack Hinshelwood, just punishing that opportunity so well. So fair play to us. My only grudge in that match is Minter should have finished. I do not know how he missed. He jumped over the ball. That was painful. I know, Matt, I'm sure you're going to be like reminiscing.
Remind me.
But I had to keep on seeing it on Match of the Day. Just would go back 10 seconds, go like, did he really just jump over it? All he needed to do was slide. That's all he needed to do. But like that's just. I think that again, that's just Minter and his youth and those things that needs to be ironed out. And as much as I loved Hinshelwood's contribution to the equaliser, really should have played it back to Danny Welbeck for that moment where he broke through in that defensive line. He shouldn't have gone for the shot. It's too tight an angle. And as we talk about XG, oh God, no, that would have been 0.001 XG. And you see Welbeck just screaming like he had that opportunity to just flick it past Ortega. But, I know we're seeing this as glass half empty at the moment, but I think that point is going to be huge for us in the race for Europe. It really is.
Yeah, and good to go out there and stake a claim to say, like, we are competing here. We're off the back of 6 wins on the bounce, and we're not just going to come here and roll over and have our tummies tickled. We're going to compete with you. And the one thing I'm really gutted about, and maybe it definitely is an own goal, but I'm so gutted it wasn't given to Jack, because I feel like he's been so pivotal for us at the moment, Matt. And the title of the podcast says as much. I think what we've called him on the Albion Obsessed podcast is the HINSHPIN, because he is that engine. So do you think he's that player that's going to be so versatile for us going forwards, and chipping in for goals, defensive output? Like, what have you made of Jack Hinshelwood since this season, really?
Yeah, absolutely. Just it doesn't matter where you put him on the pitch. He's just got to be in the side. He's crucial to us. And one thing that really stands out about Hinshelwood that a lot of people wouldn't notice or wouldn't sort of put him in that field is how good he is in the air. I saw his stats from the game. I think he won all of his aerial duels. He had I want to say he had a bit of a tough game against Doku, but Doku was just unplayable. Just lucky his end product's god awful.
Yeah, that's true. And sort of what I liked was us forcing Doku to sort of had to cut in and have a shot, or we didn't show him the line, we didn't give him his strength, and we pushed him onto making stupid decisions, which he continued to do all the time. And but I mean, we talk about being disappointed with the draw, but Man City also had their chances to win the game, Tom, didn't they? I mean, overall, do you think the balance of the result was pretty much spot on?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I would say yes and no. I'm verging on saying no, because I feel like we had when it was 2-2, we had the better chances. We had the Minter chance, we had the Hinshelwood should have played it back chance, with the Belieber opportunity as well. So there were opportunities there, and I'm sorry, Matthew, for giving you PTSD again. There were some great opportunities for us to really come home with 3 points, and I think a lot of the players there at the full time, you could just see that from their body language, they knew they had an opportunity there to get 2 extra points. They'll take the draw based on our run. Again, it's been a brilliant run so far, and it's something that we can be really, really proud of. I mean, 4 points against Man City once again in this season has been brilliant. So again, there are plenty of positives out of this that we can definitely take and look at the bigger picture. But when you look at that game as an individual, we all know that we had the lion's share of the chances when it was 2-2, and really we should have finished it off. But again, I am going to defend them, because it's Hinshelwood, Minter and Belieber, all very, very young players. who will be kicking themselves. And when you've got, leaders like Danny Welbeck who are setting that standard and setting that tone in their body language and their responses, they know that they're going to have to work harder in training to make sure they iron out those little creases in their game, because they're going to be the difference between, we're talking about winning trophies this season, that it will be the difference between us winning trophies and not, or getting Europe or not. So these are the things that we really need to push up on.
Yeah, exactly that. Phil saying, I think we just edged it. Very much in agreement with yourself, Tom. I think on the balance of it, as you say, those 3 chances were just ridiculous. Matthew, when Belieber was rushing into the box, what was the feeling in the stand? Like, but before he struck it, was you thinking it was going to hit the back of the net?
I just don't want to relive that moment ever again. Just regret, the pain, the away end would have gone off. It's on his left foot as well. It's everything set up so perfectly. I haven't really watched it back for obvious reasons. I don't want to hear it mentioned, let alone watch it back. I've heard someone say it bobbled. Has anyone watched it back?
I haven't watched it back in that much detail.
I say we say bobbled. I would say, if you look at it from the reversed angle, it had a bit of air and then it bounced. And I think Belieber was hoping he would get it on the bounce, and he didn't. And then it just skyrocketed.
Such a shame. And it wasn't just him, as you say. The Minte chance was unbearable as well. Just so close. And that Pedro as well in the first half. It was a difficult chance, to be fair to him. And he did really well to get even that close to goal. But it's just agonisingly close, all of them. Well, not the Belieber one, but,
Yeah, I heard it actually smacked you in the face, Matt, did it?
God.
I'm just looking at our run-in at the moment. We ran through it, Tom, before we went live. But we've got Aston Villa at home, Palace away, Leicester at home, Brentford away, West Ham home, Newcastle home, Wolves away, Liverpool home, Spurs away. Looking at that run-in, so that's 9 games left, 27 more points to play for. How many do you predict we get? You're muted.
Oh, no.
Oh no, error, schoolboy. It's a tough one, isn't it? I think it's going to be a draw against Villa, so 1 point. Draw against Palace, 2. We've got to beat Leicester, that's 5. I think we're going to win against Brentford, despite the fact their form is very, very good at the moment. 8. Beat West Ham, 11. Draw against Newcastle, 12. Beat Wolves, 14. I think we're going to beat Liverpool because they would have won the title by then. If they don't win the title by then, that is the biggest bottle job in the Premier League title race ever. That is bigger bottle job than Mikel Arteta has done in the last 2 seasons at Arsenal. And then we've got Spurs away, and I think we'll win that as well. So I think we're in good momentum. On paper, that doesn't look nice, but when you look at that Liverpool match, people will get a bit nervous, but you look how comfortable they are in the league. Yes, they lost today in the Carabao Cup, but I think the primary objective for them was always to win the league. And they're very much in a very, very comfortable position. They're 12 points ahead. They've got a game in hand as well. So that could be 15 points if they get that result sorted. So immediately they could be winning this by the time we play West Ham. So that's kind of like what you've got there. And then they'll be playing French players and just rotating people about. So I fancy our chances. It's a good run. I mean, the only one there where I'm expecting 3 points and a win is the Leicester City game. So you know that in very Brighton and Hove Albion fashion, that's going to be like a 1-1 draw, smash and grab. Ruud van Nistelrooy just punching the air like as if he was with Martin Keown again back in those days. So that could well happen, but I really fancy this run, and I think with so much to play for, we can get the results in there as well. And again, I am praying for a really strong performance against Forest. I'll take a strong performance. I am not going to say the W word. I do not want to tempt fate. I do not want to jinx it. But my God, I think if we can really go in the way that we've been playing in the last few weeks against Forest, then we're in for a good running for the next 9 games. And what a way to start the business end of the season as well.
Yeah, incredible. Matthew, has the international break come at a very, very poor time for us, do you think, or do you think we're going to take the much needed rest?
Well, for us fans, it's come at a bad time because we're picking up very good results. I wouldn't really say either, to be honest. There's positives and negatives to both sides, but as we are playing sort of high intensity football, players are inevitably going to need a rest. You see with Spurs the amount of injuries they've picked up, and yeah, just not really either way, to be honest.
That's fair enough. I mean, Tom, I think your points tallied just then that you added up takes us definitely into the mid-60s, which has been enough for Europe in previous seasons. I don't know how many seasons, but it's definitely enough. So, Matthew, what do you feel towards the end of the season? How many points will we pick up, and do you think what are our chances for Europe in your mind?
We've got a high chance of Europe for sure. We've got a strong squad. We've got I want to say a bloated squad. We're not really in the centre back, but we're going to need the depth. That's one thing. Hasn't mid 50s been enough for Europe? Early 50s?
Yes, possibly.
It has. In our Europe season, didn't we get 50 something, 51 maybe?
I might be completely wrong. I mean, just for context, Bournemouth are 10th on 44. Villa are back to winning ways, 45. We're on 47. We've got Fulham, who won today, 45. Newcastle, 47, level on us. They've got a slightly better goal difference. We are the strongest in that in terms of form, with 4 wins and a draw, unbeaten in our last 5. City are only on 48. Chelsea are on 49 in 4th.
Chelsea are slipping as well, so same with City as well, hopefully.
There is also the added notion that at the moment, our UEFA coefficient as a nation is number 1, which means that we get a 5th Champions League spot, which means that 5th is Champions League, 6th is guaranteed Europa League, 7th potentially, if hypothetically someone in the top 4, top 5 win the FA Cup, that drops down, and then 8th is Europa Conference, unless Newcastle mess up big time. So there's, we could be looking at, top 8 again, which is how we got into Europa League. I believe, no, top 6. So we got 6th that time. So again, top 7, top 8 even could be in Europe next season. So things are looking nice and healthy for us in our chances, but we just need to get the results. We just need to play like as if we're not working on permutations in any cup match, or how well the other nations are doing in the Champions League or Europa League. I think it's now based on United and Tottenham to maintain the coefficient.
Oh no! Oh, we're cooked.
What could possibly go wrong?
But yeah, that was my next point. The amount of competition that we have for these spots only can mean the points that we're going to need is just going to go up, and the competition is just going to get fiercer and fiercer. So, yeah,
it's certainly going to be a very, very interesting and nervy end to the season, and I can't quite take it anymore. So to have an FA Cup run or a semi-final, or even to think about a final, to add on top of that stress would not go, in my mind, not go down very well. But I'd love it, but I'd also hate it, if you get what I mean. In our European qualifying season, we finished 6th on 62 points.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, and then 8th place in that season, we're on 60 points. So yeah, we're going to need to be just tipping over that 62
completely
mark,
wrong, yeah.
I think, to get Europe again. Phil saying Lamptey injured again in training, isn't March out as well? Will we ever see Milner again? Let's talk about Lamptey first of all, Tom. A lot of people screaming for Lamptey to be given a new contract, but I think the thing that we're holding off on is because of these injuries. Do you think Lamptey should be given a new contract at Brighton?
It's hard to say yes without thinking about, he came in as almost like basically a world beater. I think when we think of Lamptey, we think of that game against Newcastle where he won about like 15 penalties and just had everyone wrapped around his little finger. He had everyone in his back pocket as well. He was defensively superb and attacking the qualities of a very, very good winger. Then the hamstring injuries happened. Then the quadriceps injuries happened. Then the calf injuries happened. And then more injuries happened. And then he got rushed back in. And then more injuries happened. So the never-ending cycle we have. And the problem with players like Lamptey, when they are technically fantastic and very, very quick, is they tend to have very weak hamstrings. The most important muscle they need for their pace. And the moment that pops and that pings, that's going to be you lose a yard of pace, and you're still quick, but not as quick as what you could be. And if you push yourself, it's going to repeat and repeat and repeat. So I think the recruitment team are probably looking at the possibilities and think, is he a risk? Is he happy to be a squad player? We could well see Kadioglu going at right back next season when he's back from his toe injury. But he might well want to play football. So I think it's a tough one. I think it's more than likely that he's going to be shown the door, which would be a shame because I think he offers a lot in the team. And when he plays, he's played very, very well. And he seems to suit Hertzler's style of play a lot this season. And when he's come on duty as a deputy at left back, not his most favoured position, but he's done a really good shift in there. When he's plays in his favoured position, he's very, very good. And there are a lot of performances there where Tarek is probably thinking, I would like a new deal, please. Look what I'm doing on the pitch. Then you go and hear about, Lamptey's injured again. How long is he going to be? We've got 2 weeks, fortunately, of the international break. Hopefully it's just nothing more than a niggle that he can shake off. But I'm really, I'm verging on thinking we might well expect Lamptey to not be in the retention list for next season, which will be a shame. But we all know that if that's the case, we know where we're going to be looking in the summer transfer window.
Yeah, exactly that. Matt, do you share those views? Do you think Tariq is worthy of a new contract, or what's your take on Tariq?
Yeah, I agree to a large extent. He has been very good when he has played. There are a lot of gaps in his game. But yes, it's the injuries that's killing him. And to be honest, at this stage of his career, I doubt he's going to want to be a squad player whatsoever. But I think fullback also is a position we really should be looking at. At right back, I think we're okay at right back. We have Veltman, Hinch, Kadioglu if need be. And then at left back, you got Estupiñán and then Lamptey, but obviously he's unreliable as well. Kadioglu, however, I did see something saying he could be back before the end of the season, sort of late April time.
Well, fingers crossed somebody comes back in and gives us a little bit of a boost. We might need it by that point. So yeah, and any numbers that comes back would be great. But it's going to be a nervy end. As we round off the show, I just want to ask you first, Tom, if you could pick one player from the game against Man City for good or bad reasons, who are you picking and why?
I'm guessing Jack Hinshelwood is out of the equation.
You can pick Jack if you want.
I've got to pick Jack Hinshelwood. The guy is fantastic. He's got he plays like as if he's got decades of experience under his belt. He's such a we're talking about a guy who's almost that complete midfielder. He's a threat at goal. He's superb defensively. He's a ball-winning midfielder. He's a defensive-minded midfielder. He's a playmaker. He can support people on the wings. He's almost like that Thomas Müller when he plays central midfield sometimes. That in the Red Malster, whatever how
Ramboiter, I think.
There we go. That's it. That's how you pronounce it.
Can
Can you tell my German's terrible? But he could play so many different unique roles in midfield, and you kind of like going out, oh, Hinshelwood's playing. Where's he going to be? You generally don't know where he's going to be, but you do know he's going to put a shift in. He's kind of like what Milner used to be in the fact that doesn't matter where he plays, it's going to be 7 out of 10 at least every single week, and that's what I love about him. And I think he's probably run a bit of James Milner mentoring, a bit of tutelage from him is really rubbing on him, and it's paying him dividends because his performances are superb. And look at him, he doesn't care we're playing Man City. He's going in there and he wants to win the battles against these top players. And dare I say it, we could well be seeing him getting a call up soon. And I would love to see him get a call up because he deserves it. He's been fantastic.
Yeah, 100%.
More so than Jordan Henderson, Tuchel.
Yeah, exactly. That's a conversation for another day, I think. Matt, if you could pick anyone to talk about from the game for good or bad reasons, who would it be and why? But there's one rule: you can't pick Jack Hinshelwood.
Baleba for good and bad reasons. He's just unbelievable, isn't he? He's world class. Yeah. I'm saying it now, he's world class. He could do it any league, any competition, and dominate. He's just got minerals about him. Unbelievable player. Best to ever wear the blue and white.
Wow, that is some statement.
I'm saying it. He is. There's like, can you argue with that?
That's a big call. That is a big call.
Best as in best player. I think there's no competition.
Best ever player.
Ability wise, ceiling wise. Maybe, probably. Best ever.
I think you think of Vicente and David Lopez, whoever we had back then, and
I can't look away from Pascal Gross. I'm afraid.
Gross, that's another good job.
I cannot look away from Pascal.
No, Gross is ahead. Sadly, sorry, Matthew, but I mean, he's going in the right place. For me, he's overtaken Caicedo. And Caicedo was quality for us. No. Let's not anymore. You and I both know that Caicedo was absolutely quality for us.
Oh yeah,
and the way he left was just horrible. But I mean, 125 million pounds in the bank, and his partnership with McAllister was also superb. And McAllister's easily top 3 for me. So I mean, Belieber's getting there, and I do agree he is verging on world class. Really is. I just hope he's going to go to a better top team than the silly transfer rumour mill that we've got at the moment with Chelsea looking. I want him going to a better team. I really do.
Such a boring narrative, isn't it? Any Brighton player that does well, Chelsea are in for him. For me, I think it would take one more really, really, really good consistent season from Carlos for me to think about him in that conversation. But the ceiling is there for all to see. He's got probably the biggest potential that I've ever seen a Brighton player have.
I want him to stay. If we get Europe, I want him to stay because I want him to play in Europe. Yeah. I think one of the things that I like, the what if moments is if we kept McAllister and Caicedo for another season, where would we be in Europa? Because I think we would have made Roma look silly if we had those two midfields.
Absolutely.
I really like no competition, but that was our big issue in that season. So I hope Tony Bloom, Mr. Chairman, please just issue a hands-off warning to Belieber before anyone jumps in. I don't care if it's another 9-figure sum. It's a case of wait and see. Let's keep him for one more year at least.
Yeah, I think the thing is with Baleba. I think he's at a better stage of his development than Caicedo as well. He's a much more complete version of the player than Caicedo was when he left, if that makes sense. So say we could probably sell Baleba for 100 plus this year, but if he does stay, we'll sell him at a cut price next year, and that's what we probably would have done with Caicedo.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, if you want the best chairman possible to be negotiating these deals, it's certainly Tony Bloom. So very much in Tony we trust, and obviously he won a lovely sum of money, I can imagine, at Cheltenham as well. So put that in your back pocket, Tony. Cover your losses that you've had with this club over the years, and keep these players. One final thing I want to talk about just very quickly before we round off is the noise that Karu Matoma is in talks with a new contract at the Albion. Tom, do you think that is good news, or do you think it spells release clause?
It's a win-win, isn't it? It's a win-win. But like, you know, Barber says all the really annoying stuff, like, you know, we've got to operate as a business and and have stability, and that comes with the assets that we have and their players, sadly. So on that side of things, again, it's a win-win. We're going to have more money in the bank. If it's going to be another 5-year contract, that means a club's going to have to pay for those 5 years of that contract, plus whatever Bloom and Barber want as a reward, almost, for the hard work that we got for Matoma and his dribbling thesis. Then we've got the other side of potentially committing his future at the club, which would be fantastic. You know, there have been so many rumours going around. Barcelona wanted him. I don't know what economic lever they're going to bring in to pay for him and register him in time. But, you know, this is someone who's potentially being rumours of having a Champions League transfer in the summer. It would be fantastic to see. He'll fully deserve it as an individual. But as a club, it'll be definitely one step back, despite the fact that we've got Simon Ndingra, who I think has been underused under Hertzler for whatever reason that may be behind the scenes. We don't know. But I think that could be an opportunity for him to really rise up and be like, no, I'm the star man now. I'm going to show it to you. I mean, this guy was voted one of the best African players this year. So he's got the pedigree behind him, and we've seen it firsthand in the last couple of seasons. So for me, I think either way, it's going to be a win-win. If we keep him, fantastic. If not, then it's a very highly inflated transfer fee. Thank you very much.
That's very true. And on Ndingra, I think he's just been really unlucky. Obviously, we've had Jan Kuba come in, and as inconsistent he's been, he's shown real moments of promise, working well with the link up of Jorginho, Pedro, and Matoma on the other side. And obviously, Karu is Karu. You can't drop him unless he's absolutely knackered or injured. So I think Ndingra's just been unlucky and has had moments this season where he's contributed. So I think he can be proud of that. And obviously, it's up to him as to what he does in the summer. What does he want to go and get more minutes elsewhere? Maybe. But if he wants to be a squad player, very much like the Tarek situation, I think, without the injuries. So that'd be interesting to see what happens there. Matt, do you think Karu will sign on the dotted line, or do you think he'll wait out for the summer?
Yeah, he loves it. He's appreciated the fact he didn't go to Saudi Arabia for 95 million. He personally rejected that. Says a lot. And he just seems like a good bloke. Seems like a loyal bloke, and we love him. He loves us. What's the point in going? You'd like to think that anyway.
You would like to think that, and
not the case with Caicedo, but
we will live in ignorant, blissful ignorance as to the fact that maybe he's just pushing to go to the Champions League. But I mean, if he does, I think he's earned it, and he's given a lot for this football club. So if he is to go, it's going to be for a lot of money after he signs that new deal. But I guess that just about rounds off this week's show of the Albion Obsessed podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more Brighton and Hove Albion related content. You can follow us on Blue Sky at albionobsessed.social.bluesky. Still don't know how that works. And you can also follow us on Instagram as well. Tom, where can people find you for all of your stuff?
If you want to hear me ramble on about all things Albion or just sport in general, then I'm on X at TomJPhillips_, and the same again on Blue Sky as well, and on Instagram.
Perfect. And Mr. Matthew, where can people find yourself?
If you just want to see absolute waffle on Twitter, then MJ11 on Twitter, and on TikTok, Maybury Football.
Nice one. So go and follow those good people. They have saved the day in terms of Albion Obsessed this week. All of those sick notes that I'm going to be having to deal with tomorrow is just a disgrace. But that just about rounds off this week's show. So whenever you may be, wherever you may be, we will see you on the next one. Have a good one. Cheers.